So is your mic ain't working?
Hello? Yeah, tell me, you want to tell something?
No, sir. I thought you were typing in the chat, so I thought the mic won't be working now.
No, no, it's working. Just I wanted to make it in a written form so that you can have some idea. You can make a copy if you wanted to make a notes. Isn't it? Do you prepare notes or not? Rohan,
Yes, sir.
do you prepare notes?
Yeah, I have prepared some of it.
That's very good, very good. But still, you can make a copy and paste of the things whatever I will type here. Okay, it will help you out. Few things I'm just wanted to highlight the things from the previous lecture. Would you like to tell? Do you remember? There was a field. There is a field in the header called Windows. Do you remember that field? Window field. Window. Do you remember why this field is used? Anyone can answer this question? Can anyone answer me? You can type your answer. I don't mind. Do you remember why window field is used? Ibrahim, yeah, please go on. Ibrahim, yeah, Ayush, to advertise the size of the capacity of the other side. Exactly, that's very good. Really good, really. Ibrahim, yeah, you can type the answer. Really good. And nobody willing to answer. Utsab, Pratik, it's a 16-bit, it's a size of 16 bits, yeah, correct? With same answer, Ibrahim, yeah, good. Good, good, very good. Okay, so it's good to know that you know the answer. So it's this field, it's basically determines how many bytes, how many bytes the receiver can accept without interruption, without interruption, without interruption, right? Without interruption. This is basically indicates that. And what we wanted to discuss in today's class is basically it is mainly centered around we wanted to discuss today is condition. The concept of condition is the topic of this lecture or this session. Condition is the topic of this session. Congestion is a topic of this session, and it is centered around the window field. What I mean to say, this window field plays a significant role in the process of congestion or in the process of congestion management, right? And needless to say, the congestion is not very acceptable scenario in a network. Congestion, you have found the congestion in road also. Congestion means where we have a traffic jam and we cannot move That's why that situation where we stuck, and definitely it is not a very pleasant scenario for us. And same thing happens in computer networks also. When data communicates from one location to another, and they get stuck because of the congestion in the network, packets or data stuck in the network due to uh, due to excessive data, then the network can handle. Okay, you can copy and paste these things that will help you out to answer questions related to congestion control. Okay, so and we will in detail explain the congestion, then again we'll come for discussion. I'll share my screen. You let me know whether it is visible or not. Is my screen visible? Pratik. Okay, thank you, Pratik. Ayush, thank you. Yatin, good. You guys don't speak, but you want me to speak. Yeah, that's great. Kushan, Yatin. Anyways, let's have a look at the concept of the congestion, right? Congestion is an unwanted yet unavoidable phenomenon in data communication that occurs due to excessive data generation by nodes in the network. It is unwanted yet unavoidable. It means that unwanted because the congestion it affects the network performance negatively. Unavoidable, it cannot be eliminated. But still, the network design always tries to minimize the congestion in the network. In this video, we wanted to explore what is actually congestion and how it occurs. What is congestion, how congestion occurs, and what are the steps to avoid congestion. Since we have already stated that it cannot be totally eliminated, but we can
Hello, sir.
minimize or can reduce the congestion.
So,
Yes, yes, please tell me.
are you presenting your screen? Because from my end, it's not visible.
Oh, are you others? Is there, can you, yeah, and can anyone respond me? Is my screen visible to you
Yes,
all?
yes, that's visible.
Visible? Okay, I think Chiandi, maybe the problem in your end. Can you verify once?
Okay, I'll try to leave the meeting and join again.
Yeah, yeah, do that. And let me know whether you can see my screen or not.
So,
Yeah, everyone is telling that it's visible. Okay. And you can ask any questions if you have any doubts or any query. You can ask at any moment. Okay, I will stop and I will answer. But don't type in the chat box. It's not visible for me. You just ask the question. I can answer. Okay, let's continue. In some special steps in the different phases of data transmission. This video highlights, or this video focus to understand the basic terms of congestion and accordingly what or how the network should react in case of congestion or occurrence of congestion. To understand the concept of congestion, let us have a look at the network topology. Let us have a look at the network topology shown in the figure. Here, the network comprises of three different routers, R1, R2, and R3. Then the routers are connected through. To understand the concept of congestion, we have taken an example network where there are three routers, R1, R2, and R3. R1 and R2 is connected with a link capacity of 1000 bits per second. R2 and R3 is connected with 1500 bits per second capacity link. And there are four different source of data, H1, H2, HT, and H4. All of them are connected with 1000 bits per second link. And apart from that, the R3 is connected to the destination. There is single destination. We are assuming that there is only single destination to whom all the sources are transmitting data. The connection between R3 and the destination host is 1200 bits per second. The rate of the data generation for all the sources are considered as 500 bits per second. And with that network topology, we will see how the congestion occurs. Suppose that host 1 has generated one packet, host 2 also has generated another packet, and these two packets will flow to this router. And also we are considering that size of each packet is 500 bits. And both the packets, when arrived at R1 will forward it to R2 using the connected link, which is of 1000 bps. In this case, suppose that total bits here is 1000 because two packets are transmitting, which is 500 multiplied by 2. So the capacity of the link and the capacity of or size of the packet is same. So these two packets will be transmitted to R2. The R2 will transmit the packet. Since the size here or the link bandwidth is 1500 bits, there is no issue in transmitting these two packets, and that way these packets will reach destination through the designated line R1 to R2, R2 to R3, then R3 to the destination. So destination has received the data, and this data is nowhere stuck or nowhere being queued, because the capacity of the link is sufficient to transmit all the data generated by the source H1 and H2. Now let us see the next scenario. Suppose in the meantime, H3 and H4 also has started transmitting data. And again, these are of 500 bits packet size. So when it reaches R2, at the moment of time, we are assuming that all the packets are receiving R2 together, 2 from H1 and H2 and 2 from H3 and H4. So these four packets, when it reaches the router R2, it has to forward towards R3. And there are four total packets where the size is 4 into 500, which is equals to 2000. However, the size of the transmission link connecting R2 and R3, it is only of 1500 bits per second. So that is why one packet need to be queued. One packet would not be allowed to go through the link R2, R3 at the same time. That is why one packet, any one packet will be kept in the queue, which is maintained in the router R2. And after some time, when the link will be free, means any one of the packet, if reaches R2, then it will be sent to the router R3. Again, it happens in R3 when it receives, say, 3 packets, 1, 2, and 3, but capacity is only 1200. So one packet cannot be forwarded because of lack of the bandwidth. Now this concept, this process, generation of packets by all the sources increases. If it increases, then it will lead to a different scenario. Now suppose H1 and H2 are packet generating more packets of similar size. Here 4 packets are there in the router R1, out of which only 2 packets are transmitted, 2 packets are queued. Similarly, in R2, due to the packets coming from H3 and H4, more packets are available with R2, which cannot be passed through the link, and it will queue the packets. So some packets will be queued by R1, some packets will be queued by R2. Then same thing will happen in R3 as well. Packets are stored in the queue. This queue will take some memory, and that memory will be used as a buffer of the queue where the packets will be stored for future transmission. Over time, when these sources of data generates more data, then size of the queue will be increased. But however, for each of the queue maintained in different routers, R1, R2, R3, and the size of the queue is limited. This is called limited sized queue. The size of the queue is limited. It means that when number of packets exceeds the size of the queue, then packets will not be allowed, or the router will not be capable of storing any more packets here. Then what happens? Let us see what happens when this process continues and the source of data generates packet indefinitely. If such scenario occurs, then the queue will start dropping packets from the queue. If such condition happens, if such condition occurs, then the routers will start dropping packet from the queue. Here, the queue is at this point, the queue is full. That's why the packets are start dropping, and this packet dropping is called the loss of packets due to no space in the queue or queue full. If packet drops in the network or the destination, he might be waiting for certain packet, and that packet is not arriving so far, and that's why it has to wait, and it will lead to delay in processing. If delay of processing occurs, then experience degraded quality of services. So definitely the degraded quality of service is not the expectation or not the requirement or acceptable to the end users. That is why the network needs to take care of such situation in an efficient way. In order to improve the QoS to the end user, it is the responsibility of the underlying network architecture to handle such unwanted situations. Mainly, this kind of situation or this congestion is taken care of in 2 different layers in the network architecture. One, it is in network layer, and another, it takes in the transport layer. And the protocols in the transport layer like UDP, they do not take care of such congestions. However, the TCP, which is considered as a reliable protocol and guaranteed service protocol, it takes care of congestion in a better way. Let us see how to control the congestion. Here, router R3 has noticed that the packets are being dropped from its queue. So as a consequence, the R3 will come to know, or he will realize that there is a congestion in the network. That's why the packets cannot be passed through this link from R3 to R2 or any other link associated to it. That's why in order to stop the packet dropping, he can do one thing. He can inform the immediate router R2 to not to send data immediately to R3. And it may also request R2 to send data only when the packets are being transferred from R3 queue to the next hop. Similarly, if this R2 obeys the instruction given by R3, then he will stop sending or forwarding packet to R3 and he will start queuing the packets in its own queue. The same thing will happen here, R2. Once the queue is full, the packets will be dropped. Again, this R2 will inform R1 to stop the packet transmission, and he again, R1 will start queuing packets in his queue. And then R1 can send the same information to H1 and H2 because there are packet loss here in R1 and they are requested to stop, not to send data till further clearance of the queue in R1. The same thing will propagate in the reverse direction and we can control the congestion. The same process can be also done. Suppose that HD it is coming to the notice of the receiver, the destination H3, that the packets coming into it is suffering longer delay. So it can realize that this H3 is suffering from delay maybe due to congestion. So what HD can do, he can inform not to the nearest router, rather he can inform directly to the source of data generation, that is H1, H2, H3 and H4, not to send more data till the congestion is over. So this will in turn inform the source of data and they will stop transmitting data. In both the cases, in the first case, all routers inform the next immediate router to stop sending data. In turn, all the routers informs the source of data to stop the data transmission. In the second approach, the end user or the destination informs the source directly to stop data generation or data transmission so that the congestion could be controlled. In the first approach, where the router informs the nearest router and then it is propagated to the source, it is called the handling of or managing congestion in the network layer. And in the second option, where the congestion is taken care of by the end users, source and destination, it is done in the transport layer. So in short, this congestion is taken care of in two different layers. One is in network layer, another is in transport layer. And in both the cases, main intention is to inform the source to stop transmitting data temporarily or reduce the transmission rate, reduce the data transmission rate. So both the way, either in the network layer or in the transport layer, they try to control the congestion so that QoS or quality of services would be improved for better utilization of the network. This is all about congestion, and different protocols are used in the network to control such congestions. The method which is used in network layer, one of the method which is used in the network layer, which is called choke packets. Choke packets is one of the oldest and very simple method of handling congestion. And in the transport layer, the TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, uses the concept of congestion window to handle such congestion in the network. Is it clear to you? Is the concept clear? Have you understood? Very good. Very good. Okay. Yeah, please, Ibrahim, please go ahead. Yeah, you can type the question. No problem. Anybody else?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Ibrahim, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking the question in terms of when we are solving the congestion control. I think in the first, in the network layer that we mentioned in the network one, if I remember correctly, you mentioned that the routers, they will inform each other about the congestion, and then it will inform the previous router to stop sending the data. So if I understand that one, it will inform them only after they start dropping the packet. So I think even if we follow this kind of the method, still we tell them and it will stop, but we are creating the data loss so much also, because
Yes.
unless they start dropping the data, then we inform the routers to stop sending the data. And in the second case also, we mentioned that the destination will inform directly to the source to stop sending the data. And in this case also, only it happens when they start dropping the data also. So I think the solution is not solved because we create a lot of the data lost also.
Exactly. Because this data loss, because see, if you see it's really a very technical question. Really, you have understood the things. That's why you are asking this question. Okay, Ibrahim, let me tell you one thing. Let's come to the first one. Okay, give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Okay, so see here, what there are two methods, as you have said that there are problems with these solutions. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And moreover, at the beginning of the presentation, I told you that this congestion cannot be eliminated completely, right? What we can do, we can minimize the loss, and it is unavoidable. That's why it is called unavoidable. This whatever we are telling is I mean, whatever concept we are talking is unavoidable, no matter what, because there is no way for any intermediate device or any of the end users to know in advance. They cannot predict congestion. It can only detect congestion when it occurs, and if it occurs, then it already suffering, that the network already have suffered from the congestion, because it has come to the it will this R3 will come to know that packets are dropping. It implies that somewhere there is a congestion, so it cannot move it forward. So that's why packet is dropping, and that's the because of congestion. But already these packets are lost, right? These packets are lost, that we cannot do anything. Moreover, here, if say this destination wanted to transmit the data or transmit the information that slow down the packets, when it will come to know? It will come to know when it will suffer longer delay in packet arrival. If it is longer delay in the packet arrival, that means already packets are dropped. That's why these packets, already the packets are dropped. That's why it's suffering delays. So in that case also, this the damage already been done. That's why it is said that the congestion cannot be eliminated. But however, the packet which are lost need to be recommunicated or retransmitted by the respective sources, right? Then only the end user can have the data. Unless it has the data, it cannot replay it or it cannot make use. And suppose that one message I wanted to communicate by dividing into three different packets or three different segments, segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. If one of the segment is lost, the data segment 1 and 2, if say 2 is lost, 1 and 2 is received by the receiver, but it is useless. It is no use of the end user. That's why the end user this end user HD will request the source to retransmit the packet, retransmit. And when it is retransmitted and it will be received by the destination, then only it can make use of the entire data. So that is why it is called overhead. It is the extra load on the network due to retransmission of data. So once again, let me clarify this one, that the congestion cannot be eliminated. It will certainly happen, but if it is detected early, then we can take the necessary measures to minimize and to stop dropping more data here onwards. And that is called congestion management, right? That is called congestion management, or basically this congestion management, the objective of the congestion management is to minimize the congestion in the network, and to minimize the loss due to the overflow in the buffer. And third thing, always, this technique always try to do it and to improve the quality of services by minimizing the packet loss, and hereby it minimizes the network overhead as a result of retransmission of packets. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Is there any more doubts that you wanted to ask?
Just one more again.
Yeah, please carry on. Please carry on.
Yeah. Oh, this one will be like a suggestion. Like I have a suggestion in mind. Like since the routers, they are informing each other after the packets start dropping, wouldn't it be possible to make the mechanism that will inform the next router before it prior to the dropping of the data. Because if it is prior before the data, since all the routers have their fixed buffer, so it can able to tell the router that it cannot handle up to this kind of package. So in this sense, then it only receive those that it can handle, and it will inform back to the source that we can able to receive much quantity of this data only. So I think with that one, if it can work, then there will be no congestion in the network.
No, first thing, let me clarify you that there is no possibilities, because the researcher, this is very, very basic concept that I'm explaining you. And this topic is enhanced by many of the researchers in last 20 years. And they have different methods of handling the congestions. First of all, this congestion cannot be eliminated, or it cannot be made zero. It's not possible. If somebody can do it, and definitely it would be a very, very big task to be accomplished, considered to be a big task being done by somebody. But whatever I am telling you is this congestion is controlled in two different layers: routing layer, as well as in there is one more layer, routing layer, and the transport layer, right? But the concept of congestion control is in routing layer is taken up in a very, very low level, because it is never this function of controlling the congestion is never assigned to the router. Rather, because it is assigned to the transport layer only. It is assigned to the transport layer, and transport layer can exist only in the end systems. That's why the transport layer, basically the TCP, transmission control protocol, is the main player in controlling the congestion, right? And of course, it takes many different innovative methods while transmitting the data from source to destination, and the reply destination back to the source. It takes care of the to control the congestion. Basically, the concept or method of flow control, if you remember it, you have studied in data link layer, the concept of flow control, which is also available in transport layer, that is specifically in TCP, it plays a bigger role in controlling the congestion, right? And moreover, if say suppose R2, as per your suggestion, if I say the R2 may think that in the near future, so far it's this one is not been, I mean, this congestion is not occurred and no packets are lost in R2, but still R2 may feel in the near future, in say the next 10 minutes, we will have congestion, right? Do you understand? I means R2 actually he's not experiencing any packet loss in the queue. Suppose that is the scenario, and Q2 is not suffering any. Let me go back where I can explain properly. This is clear it. Okay. So suppose in this condition, see here, this R2 is not suffering any packet loss, right? Suffering any not suffering any packet loss. They are forming queue, it's okay, and we can see that its queue is about to full, right? And then in that case, R2 can inform R1 that don't send packets, I'm expecting. This is called prediction. There is a high probability of having congestion, right? So he can inform to R1 to stop packets. But the problem is that you cannot predict the pattern of data. You cannot predict the data arrival. How, suppose at this point it is full, in the next 0.0000001 milliseconds, the entire packet may be stop transmitting by default. So in that case, it will unnecessarily stop transmitting packet to R2. That is called underutilization of bandwidth. That is why it cannot be done, because we cannot predict the data. Again, there are two things. If it is a constant bit rate, if data pattern is constant bit rate, means the data flow is constant, and in that case it may be possible in some time. But however, CBR, constant bit rate data transmission, is very rare, and normally we prefer we have some data, say this is the timeline, and data comes like it's a peak, then there is no data for some time, like this. So since this data generation of in a network follows this kind of distribution, there is no prediction where this peak will come, where this will fall. Okay, so that's why that cannot be predicted, and that cannot be done in advance. That's why it cannot be eliminated totally. If we do that, one thing we can do, we always send as minimum data as possible, but that is also not happen. That is also not possible because it will underutilize the entire bandwidth of the network. That's the problem here. And moreover, congestion control is taken care mainly in TCP, okay, transport layer, not in intermediate routers. And whatever I have talked about choke packets, it's a very kind of SOS. If it is really out of control, then only R2 will generate one choke packets, and then it will inform the immediate routers. Am I clear?
Yeah, very satisfying answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Sir, but when the like example, when we receive some packages on the destination and we experience kind of drop of the package, so there must be like some kind of package because we know that the package.
Yeah. Actually, see, there are two things. Uh, Say this is a sender. This is a sender, and this is a receiver. When the sender sends a packet, this is a sender, this is a receiver, sends a packet, it starts one timer, and this timer has some value that is called TTL, time to leave. And during that period, R is supposed to send one acknowledgement for the packet. This is segment 1, then it will send one. If you remember the header file, there is one acknowledgement field and acknowledgement flag. So this acknowledgement will set to 1 for segment 1, that it will understand that this packet is received. But however, suppose that this packet is not received, but this sender has sent the packet, but somewhere here in between it is lost. So definitely the receiver will not send the acknowledgement. That means after certain time, sender will not receive the acknowledgement. So it will understand that there is a loss in the packet. So it will retransmit. This is one way. Another method, this is sender, this is R. Receiver. So receiver is waiting for some packet, and for long time, normally from the previous history, it will come to know that the next, if this is segment 1, then segment 2 should come within a period of 10 milliseconds, say. And if it does not happen, suppose that after 10 milliseconds it is not received, or this is 1 is received, the packet 3 is segment 3 is received, but 2 is not received, this receiver is waiting, then also it will understand that somewhere there is a problem. So it will inform back to the source. This is called negative acknowledgement, and to resend packet 2, right? So these are some, there are so many different methods, and that is actually discussed under the concept of flow control, and that flow control will in turn lead to control the congestion. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more question? It's really, it was meaningful questions. Yeah, please, somebody wants to talk. Chiandi, yeah, please. I think you have some problem with the mic. You can type the question. I'll try to answer. So if you wanted to learn more in the recent development of transport layer or this kind of congestion control, you can go for some research paper, right? Recent research papers in this area. And also, if you wanted to know what are the practically applicable TCP protocols and what type of methods they normally use, in forthcoming sessions, we will learn how to do that or accomplish this task by the end systems. We will discuss that later. Still, if you wanted to know, certainly you can go for research paper in recent topics. Yeah, please. Anyways, I think it's already 12:05. Give me your enrollment numbers for attendance.